Well, we'd like to welcome you all to this week's episode of Governing Georgia on WTOC Plus, where each week we're taking you under the Gold Dome to explain the latest legislation moving through the State House and break down what it means for you, your family, and your community. Thanks for joining us this Friday. We begin with this. A group of parents demanded action from lawmakers over gun laws. This week they called for stricter safe storage laws and tougher enforcement on gun violence. Parents and students applauded lawmakers when they announced new legislation that would ban switches. Now, a switch is a device that can turn a semi-automatic handgun into a fully automatic weapon. Even if that bill passes, the debate about safe storage laws remains deeply divided. Some Republican lawmakers argue mental health is the key issue, not access to guns. Advocates at the Capitol say they are sick of hearing that argument.
When it comes to what's going on with mental health, I think that's the key to it. The gun's not the enemy.
Gun safety is not gun control. Gun safety is gun safety.
We do expect lawmakers to debate safe storage
when it comes
incentives and banning switches later this week. Well, staying in education news, a new school safety proposal in Georgia is calling for drones to respond to active shooter situations. Supporters say they could be on scene in seconds, even before police, but critics worry about privacy and cost. As our State House reporter Abby Casores explains, lawmakers got to see these drones in action earlier this week.
It sounded like a swarm buzzing over Liberty Plaza as Georgia lawmakers watched from below. A Texas company says this drone could respond to an active shooter in seconds, reach a threat in 15, and stop it in under a minute.
Seeing is believing, right?
The company is called Campus Guardian Angel. Students watching today say it's hard not to think about the reality because lockdown drills and school violence are already a part of growing up.
It's definitely something that me and my classmates talk about sometimes.
For State Representative Holt Persinger, this isn't a what if. He represents Barrow County, where Appalachia High School has already lived through the nightmare. Persinger says school resource officers acted fast, but schools need every layer they can get.
Anything we can do to add another layer of safety to make sure that our kids and our staff are safe.
The company says drones would be stored inside schools in charging boxes, ready to launch instantly if someone hits a panic button. Now lawmakers are looking at the price tag. Georgia's draft budget includes $550,000 for a pilot program for 4 high schools, spread out between rural Georgia and metro Atlanta.
Our service, we cost less than Netflix to protect your child with an elite Air Force.
A guardian angel or a risky experiment. Either way, today's demo showed the urgency at the Capitol. Georgia lawmakers are searching for something that works before the next emergency happens.
Abby Casores, Atlanta News First.
Well, Georgia could put new limits on how kids aged 14 and under use social media. State lawmakers say one of their major concerns is how addictive these social media platforms are. Republican Senator Bo Hatchett introduced a bill this week that could require users to verify their age, ultimately to reduce addictive algorithms they say are used on kids to keep them on that app. Senator Hatchett says kids need protection from these addictive apps and that this bill was drafted specifically to avoid any potential First Amendment lawsuits. The bill would force social media companies to change their algorithms for kids 14 and under.
And this bill is aimed to target those features. It says that if a social media company knows an account belongs to a minor, it cannot use engagement maximizing algorithms and design features on that child.
The committee says they will meet again next week to further their discussion of this proposed bill. And a bill now advancing at the state capitol could significantly change high school sports across Georgia. It would allow student athletes to make money from their name, image, and likeness, also referred to as NIL. Georgia High School NIL Protections Act passed unanimously in the Georgia House this week. Republican sponsor Representative Brent Cox says the bill would let athletes take endorsement deals while making sure contracts don't lock them in long term. This bill is now heading to the state Senate for a vote. Well, some Georgia residents could soon see new changes to what they're allowed to buy with their EBT card. Georgia lawmakers met in a committee meeting to discuss a new bill that looks to change EBT usage. Our Stephanie Atkinson has the details.
This is not to prevent a family member or somebody else from using these cards. We want them to get the food that they need and the nutrition that they need. But what we don't want to do is promote any type of fraud or unlawful use of these cards.
Georgia representatives met today to discuss a new law that would put more restrictions on EBT cards. House Representative Martin Momtahan says that this is to help comply with federal laws. The new law also looks to limit theft and selling of benefits by adding chip readers and the owner's full legal name on the card.
These cards are getting their mag stripes stolen, and those benefits are disappearing.
EBT benefit theft is just rampant in this program.
The new bill also looks to cut down on error rates, which is over and underpaying families' funds.
And that's the part that if we don't get our payment error rate down to under 6%, the state will have to pay a percentage of the overall amount of benefits issued, and that will be a very, very high number.
If the state doesn't get under federal compliance, benefits could take a major hit.
Those reports have indicated up to $490 million of impact against the SNAP program, and that's just something that our residents and our recipients can't afford to lose.
Democratic House Representative Tangi Herring pushed back on today's bill, saying there wasn't enough focus on rural areas of Georgia.
But I do have some concerns because in some of our communities, especially rural communities, there are not a lot of options. So I hope that you will take that in consideration and we can have more conversations about how we can help those families.
Representatives noted that parts of the bill look to extend EBT usage to local farmer markets. Leaders will meet again to further today's discussion at their next planned meeting. In Savannah, Stephanie Atkinson, WTOC News.
Well, a proposed bill under the Gold Dome could allow pharmacists in Georgia to prescribe birth control. House Bill 1138 is titled the Increasing Access to Contraceptives Act. It was introduced last week. As the bill is currently written, pharmacists would be allowed to dispense self-administered hormonal contraceptives. They could also administer injectable hormonal contraceptives under specific conditions. Speaker of the House, Republican John Burns, spoke about this bill last week.
As I often say, life is about timing. And for many families, that means having the tools and resources they need to responsibly plan for the future and start their families when the time is right. House Bill 1138 will significantly increase access to family planning resources for women throughout our state by allowing pharmacists to prescribe birth control.
Lawmakers are still reading the bill, meaning it's in the early stages of progression. As of this week, 6 lawmakers have sponsored the bill. All 6 are Republicans. Well, Georgia homeowners took to the Capitol this week for HOA Day. Many fear losing their homes to community associations. Anastasia Almos, the investigative reporter with our sister station in Atlanta, has detailed allegations of abuse and abuse of power, as well as lack of oversight in an ongoing series called HOA Nightmares. She has more from the Capitol with homeowners' cries for help.
We've had hundreds of homeowners experiencing issues with their HOAs reach out to us in just the last year. Of those, about half are in lawsuits with their HOAs. About 30% have liens on their homes, and the average amount that they owe in fines and fees is nearly $10,000. They have no office to go to for oversight. That's why they came to the Capitol today.
Are we here for HOA changes? Yes!
HOA Day at the Georgia Capitol began with homeowners gathering in Liberty Plaza.
Rise up, homeowners!
Some faces you may recognize.
My story was featured on Atlanta News First.
Danielle Reyes is featured in our investigative series, HOA Nightmares.
It's a blatant selective enforcement.
And now part of a community watch group for HOA oversight, leading the charge into the Capitol Tuesday.
Don't let anybody off the hook today.
Dozens of homeowners pleading with lawmakers to help.
And the frivolous fines are like your trash can is seen from your backyard, your mailbox and your driveway should be pressure washed, and your fines are in excess of tens of thousands of dollars.
There's no lawyers to fight for our homeowners because there's more lawyers getting money from the Homeowners Association.
But they're the ones that wants to foreclose on our house when we say we've never gotten what we were promised.
Even HOA board members showed up to support reform.
There's some board members out there that are good, trying to do the good.
HOA Day organized by Representatives Viola Davis, Kim Schofield, and Sandra Scott, as well as Senator Donzella James.
They don't follow their own rules and bylaws.
Continues with a call to action for all lawmakers to prioritize and protect Georgia homeowners. There are several HOA oversight bills in both the Senate and the House, but it seems that lawmakers are pushing two to the forefront. One would be SB 406, which would assign oversight of HOAs to the Secretary of State's office, as well as HB 1035, which would ban foreclosures for HOA dues and fees altogether. I'm Anastasia Olmos. Atlanta News First investigates.
Finally, here on WTOC Plus, people who grow our food are asking state lawmakers for help as family-owned farms across Georgia disappear. Farmers parked their tractors outside the state capitol this week, silently announcing their presence under the Gold Dome. Inside, more than 600 farmers, students, and families met face-to-face with lawmakers. Many farmers said they are deciding whether they can afford to plant in the spring or sell land that's been in their families for generations.
Farmers always got hope for a better crop next year, but it looks pretty tough right now.
They're desperate. They're looking for all the resources financially that they can find anywhere.
Farmers said they're hoping lawmakers pass bills that include disaster relief funding and resources for agriculture and forestry. And those are the major issues, bills, and proposals we've been tracking all week long right here on WTOC Plus. That is going to conclude things for this week's episode of Governing Georgia. If this is your first time watching, every Friday at 2:30 on WTOC Plus and the WTOC Facebook, we hold this show to really discuss some of the major bills we're looking at. If you're watching on Facebook, feel free to leave a comment and I'll get to it, or a question. But that is going to conclude our coverage. I would like to thank you all for watching this afternoon.